We've got baby Jupiter in the house. I might have to hold her at the end just to show that we're all the cutest baby ever. So tonight's TICA class for everybody who is on Quantum Life, everybody who is in the certification program, everybody that's online internationally. Tonight's class is all going to be about entering the Lion's Gate. And I'm going to talk about, in the Jessica logic, the best I can to kind of help explain how we're going to be able to navigate through these next couple of months very childlike. Because really, the Leo energy is about childlike courage. You know, it's like I was telling Craig in the session today, it's kind of like the Leo energy is like that kid that's on top of the roof that has put on the fake cape who totally believes he can fly, right? And he's like the one that jumps off and like breaks his leg and is like, that's awesome. You know, that is the Leo energy. It is that courage, it is that place of wonder, it is that creativity, it is that invention, it is that place that is within all of us that we have lost over the years because we haven't needed it. We live in a culture that is instant gratification. At any given moment, there's no need for you to ever be creative, right? You can watch other people be creative on social media any time of the day. You can watch TV and you can watch other people being creative any time of the day. You can turn on the news and hear other people's opinions. But where is your opinion? Where is your creativity? Where is your art throughout that day? Because we have become a population of overstimulus in other people's business. Because we have lost our own connection with our own creativity. And this year is very significant because it is a 888 year. Now, if I get this wrong, Frank, please correct me, because sometimes I get my astrology wrong, but he will correct me. And basically, it is the year 17, and 1 plus 7 is 8, and we're in the 8-8 Lion's Gate. So it's 3 8s, okay? So 3 different infinity symbols, and 3 is the number of healing. So this is where we heal our infinity. We're in a karmic year, which means that we are cleaning up old karmic cycles. Which means, and my definition of karma is cause and effect. It's not you're in big trouble with the universe, so you're going to reap what you sow. It's more about cause and effect. And the universe is also asking you to clean up some messes that you don't really remember because you weren't part of it consciously. And anything you've oppressed has surfaced in this last 30 days. So anything from your childhood that you've oppressed or pushed away or denied has surfaced. And that doesn't mean a one-for-one manifestation like, well, no, that's not true. It's a feeling. What feeling has resurfaced that you have dormanted from the past that you couldn't be responsible for in the moment because you didn't have the skill set, the maturity, the wisdom, the understanding, and the responsibility level to yourself to actually be part of it. Something that I can share, and I'm not going to give you details because it's a little low vibration, but I'm going to kind of go through something that's happened with me, is when I was 20, something happened to one of my daughters. And it was one of those things that's yucky that you see on the news that you really don't want to talk about. And I'll just put it this way, actually I was 22 when this happened. And it was such a horrible experience that I totally checked out from the experience. I was a new mom. Something had hurt my daughter. Frank.
It's not me.
It's not Bill.
It's not Bill.
I turned it.
Something had happened to her that caused me to totally just check out from my role as being in my body. You know, a lot of times when we experience abuse, whether it's by witnessing or experiencing ourselves, we just check out and get out of body. You know, it was the epitome of just drop and just completely, I had to let my family step in and help me with this situation because I was completely lost in what was happening. Well, that is something that I've never really gone back to and worked through the programming of that because I was completely unconscious, so I didn't remember it. And this is a lot of our life, believe it or not. Well, this month, something happened to Luke. And if you guys have been watching Quantum Life, I actually shared the story of what happened with Luke this month. And it was exactly what happened with Taylor when she was 4 years old, 20 years ago, pretty much. And this time, it was 30 minutes, I got this information about Luke, 30 minutes after I taught the class about holding space. And I sat down and I said, this is my opportunity to hold space. This is my opportunity to be present in my child's life. This is my opportunity to be a mom, to be a friend, to be a light worker, to be unconditional love for the perpetrators involved. And this is an opportunity for me to karmically resolve what I couldn't be responsible for 20 years ago. So now this is my story, and of course I like to do things big. Because apparently I'm stubborn and I just like to hit walls very hard. And so like what I'm experiencing is probably not what you're experiencing. But what I'm re-experiencing in a new state of being, in a higher vibration, in a much more responsible place in my life, that what has occurred is the exact manifestation of the past, but I'm a different person now. And this is what it comes down to, is things that are happening and re-happening for you in this moment. Who are you now? Who are you now versus who couldn't you be back then when you were 8, when you were 13, when you were 20, when you were 5, when you were 2? Because what you're noticing is that you can be that person now. And so karmically, cause and effect, your soul says everything on the timeline must be purified. Everything. That's the alchemy process. Everything that's not confronted, accepted, dissolved, and loved will resurface for you to transcend with an unconditional place of love. And you'll re-manifest this energy over and over and over again until you get it cleared. So it doesn't matter how many times you want to resist what's showing up. It's going to continue to show up until you can say, I'm here to hold space with this very thing that I didn't have the capability or the wisdom or the confront level or the ability and tools to be able to do it then. I can do it now. And so if you're re-manifesting things right now from a place where you're like, this again, and maybe you haven't even realized that what's happening right now has always been happening or has happened in the past, and now you're just in your becoming energy. What is the becoming energy? It's you getting your feet wet with higher self. Higher self is becoming more a part of your life because, like I gave Craig the analogy, this is how the universe is dealing with this Lion's Gate. Anybody here have kids, right? Okay. When your kids are sitting at home on the electronics, zoned out, and it's a beautiful day outside, what does mom and dad come and say?
Yeah.
Turn that shit off and get outside. This is what the universe is saying right now to you. Turn that off and go play. Because the only way that we're actually going to make it through this purification process is to basically be little children again in a circumstance and environment that we don't really want anymore. And the only way out is through creation, invention, being the artist within ourselves, exploration, adventure. So this Lion's Gate energy is here to basically give you your next level of psychic and intuitive power. But if you're stuck watching other people live their life and you're not looking at you living your life, then it's going to feel like a pretty heavy contrast, because what you're going to witness is a lot of people start becoming. A lot of people are going to start becoming. There's going to be two types of people in 2018. People who are waking up and people who are becoming the greatest versions of themselves. This generation, the ones who are in quantum life right now, are the light workers who have been working to become. The next crop will be your students. They are all waking up. There's this huge awakening going on in the world. It's like a wake up. It's like everyone's alarm clock is going off. Because the work that we've put in has set the tone and the momentum for everyone to awake even quicker. And they're going to go through this a lot faster and a lot easier than you did, because there was a lot more resistance when we did this. Every Lion's Gate gets more intense with what is integrated on the planet. And it's literally like the universe going, turn it off and get outside. And this is exactly like what's been going on with me, because I'm like, I don't know what to do with myself. I'm starting to feel a little bit unfulfilled. Like, I love teaching. It's second nature. But there's all this time and space where I don't know what to do with myself. And like what I put on that meme the other day, anxiety is just suppressed intuition. And the reason why it's suppressed intuition is because anxiety is the same frequency as excitement on the other side of the spectrum, right? So we've got negative and positive, we've got anxiety and excitement. Same frequency, one is negative, one is a positive charge. So if I have anxiety, I'm not allowing myself to feel my excitement, which is my intuition, and I'm suppressing it. I don't know what to do with myself. Why would one not know what to do with themselves? Because they haven't been allowed, right? It's like these indoor kids, and you say, go outside and play. What's the first thing they say? It's hot out there. There's nothing to do. And you're looking at there and you're going, there's nature out there. There's trees, there's forts, there's parks. And they're going, but then I'm going to have to use my imagination. And I don't have to use my imagination when I'm on the video game. You are the adult version of that. And I'm not pointing at anyone indirectly. I'm just saying, when I say you, I mean me. And what that is we've become an environment of this fast stimulus excitement through watching other people live. You relate? How many of us are actually going, I am living the life that I'm watching other people live? And the reason why I have jealousy, envy, or any of that is because I'm not letting myself play. It's like you're the kid looking out the window, watching everybody play, and you're like, that looks like fun, but I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to go out there and build that fort. I don't know how to play on that tree. I'm allergic to that tree. I don't like the sun. And the thing is you've just been programmed that you're safer inside. You're safer inside in a virtual reality watching everyone else live. You know, you could be one of these people who plays like Dungeons and Dragons, and you could be like a badass who is known all over the world for your like abilities to like be in this video game, yet you can't, you know, go outside and order your own food at a restaurant. You know, that's kind of like what Lionsgate is about. It's like we need to stop being those indoor kids, and we're being kicked outside by the universe. Get outside, go play. Now, what I was telling Craig, which is always with his session, it's always like the birth of this class, is the way out of this is you're probably sifting through a lot of old pain right now. Okay? Pain of things that have not manifested in the way that you wanted them to manifest. That's probably what you're sitting in right now. And that's all part of death of the ego, because the death of the ego is learning how to let go of expectations. Expectations of how it's supposed to look is what has basically kept you sedative and sedentary for all of these years. It's kept you from moving because of expectations. You rise up, things and people don't meet your expectations, you fall back into your comfort zone. Right? You have a great idea, it's not received properly. You had expectations on the way you were going to be received. Nobody loved you the way you wanted to be loved. You fall back in your comfort zone. And the art of settling comes from a very low confidence level. You only settle when your confidence is low. Right? When your confidence is high, you don't let people talk to you negatively. You're not a pushover, you're not a doormat. You are the essence of confidence, and therefore people are looking to you for answers. Confidence is the most intense emotional feeling that you can feel from someone else that's inspiring. Which means that you're not inspired by the words that teachers and people say. You're inspired by the confidence in which they're saying the words. That's what you're inspired by. Because your unique higher self has its own way to talk. And so what you're doing is remembering that it's okay for you to be confident. Like that kid who's saying, I'm about to jump off the roof because I can fly. So the Lionsgate energy is about taking your pain and moving it into purpose. And this is the way that we're going to flow in this energy that's coming up and not get stuck in the riptide, in the currents, and keep recycling the waves. Because you know if you're at that one place in the breakwater, that you're too far in and you're not far enough out and you're just getting slammed by those waves, you really need to get past the breakwater, which means you've got to take some action, right? You're going to be like, okay, I'm tired of getting caught in these break waves. Literally how I learned to surf as a child, my older brother, we would take the bus to the beach, which was like 40 minutes and completely unchaperoned. I look at that now, I'm like, wow, that was interesting. 40 minutes on a crinkety bus through the mountains, Malibu mountains, to a beach where basically as soon as we got there, my older brother was like, see you later. And I was left on the beach. He gave me a surfboard and he goes, if you want to be out there with me, you're going to learn to surf. And I didn't want to be alone on the beach. So by the time I was 6 years old, I taught myself how to get out to him at least. Because I knew that I didn't want to be on the beach alone. So for like 2 years, I practiced on how to duck dive under the waves and actually get out there. So I could just sit on the board and watch the sets go in. Because it was like my purpose was birthed through my pain. And all of your great abilities have come from an intense desire to not be where you are. Right? To not be bored, to not be frustrated, to not be alone, to not be this. So all of our purpose is always birthed through those uncomfortable places. You know, it's like when you're pregnant, and it's like, oh, that's so cute until that 9th month, and you're like, get this baby out, right? You're ready for that pain. You're ready to deliver the purpose because you're no longer comfortable with that idea. You're ready to manifest or give birth to it. And the Lion's Gate is saying, you've practiced, you've practiced, you've practiced, you've practiced, you've practiced in your mind. Now, let's practice in the real world, right? And it's harder now because you have so many distractions. You know, you've got your job, you've got your family, you've got your hobbies that your kids are doing, you've got your social media, you've got your obligations. And at the end of the day, you don't have a lot of time and energy for you, and that's when your creative time is. But what's going to happen is the universe is going to start making your life very, very uncomfortable if you don't start getting out of that breakwater, which means that action is the only way through this energy, and it is through the playful energy. It's get outside and create with nothing. It's like you go outside in the backyard and there's a tree. There's some grass, there's a little trail, and there's a fence. What does a kid do? Right? By the end of that day, there's a whole war going on. Right? There's a castle over there. There's a fort over there. You leave that kid outside long enough, he will have the best day ever because eventually invention begins to kick in. And invention comes from a desire that I don't want to be in this place that I'm in. And this is why last Saturday I was talking about how it's so important right now that you get back to pretending about who you are and then manufacturing the energy of that becoming and staying in that vibration, because basically all you have to look at right now is a tree and a fence, right? You don't have the actual castle. You don't have the prince. You don't have this over here. You've got to go out there and you've got to create that for yourself. And creating that for yourself is going to be hard and uncomfortable, and you're going to judge yourself, and you're going to go through all of those patterns, and you're going to break all those patterns because that's what we've been doing. And then all of a sudden, 8 hours has gone in, and your mom's calling you in for dinner, and you had the best day ever. Because that's what happens with souls. The ego gets bored, and the soul goes, yay, now I can step in, and we can play. Because the soul is a child. The only way out of this mess of really healing the ego and integrating the ego back into your world, because it's been so repressed and so suppressed and so denied that it's stalking you and ruining your life because it's been repressed, is to bring it in and say, you can play with us. It's like the nerdy kid that's like this, I can play. You bring the ego in with you, and you play. And you play, and you play, and you play. And you play with something that is what was your pain before. So a personal story for me is the last 2 months have been probably the roughest 2 months that I've had since 2012. Okay? Because it's the second awakening. The first awakening was the mind awakening. The second awakening is the heart awakening. And this is where we really resisted ourselves the most, is this heart. So for me, there's been 2 months of just a lot of dark manifestations for me to heal and bring up pain, a lot of breakups with relationships, a lot of changing in locations, a lot of directional changes with business. And it's kind of like having those moments where I'm like, I don't know who I am, I don't know what I want to do, I don't, I just, that utterly confusion. And so the thing is about manifestation is when you don't have something, you cannot tell the universe that you don't have it. Because then the universe will tell you right back that you don't have it. And so I was starting to feel like I didn't have myself anymore. And so it started making me feel like I was going a little bit nutty. Spiritual awakening equals nuttiness, right? Like, okay, I'm feeling the nutty feelings coming. And I went, okay, wait. I feel a lack. I feel like I don't have connection with myself. So what is the fastest way for me to find myself is to find myself in another. Because, just like I was telling Aaron before class, like it's easier for me to put on makeup on someone else than myself, because when I'm putting it on myself, I'm in judgment of myself, and when I'm putting it on you, I just think you're the most beautiful person in the world and there's no judgment. So again, it's very hard for me to work on my stuff, but I could work on your stuff, right? And through the process of me working on your stuff, I see my stuff clearer. As I show you the solution, I'm handed the solution. So for me, it was like this 2 months was making my confidence go in the toilet. I was questioning whether or not I should still teach, and I haven't done that in a long time. I was questioning whether or not I should, write a second book and do all of these things. And I thought, okay, this isn't really where I want to be, because this is the mind, and the mind this isn't real. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my manifestation steps, and I'm going to say, I feel a void within myself, so I'm going to help someone else find themselves. I'm not feeling very good about myself. I'm not feeling beautiful. I'm not feeling talented. I'm not feeling like the goddess that I know I am. And then all of a sudden, from that pain, I said, 6th step of manifestation, move into service. I know I'll help someone else feel beautiful. I don't feel it. But if I can show someone else their beauty and their magic and the goddess side of them, then at least that will distract me from my own pain, and it will bring my pain into the purpose, because I know I'm here to be of service. And so I've been taking all these photographs and turning you all into the goddesses that you are. And through that place, I'm seeing my own beauty again and seeing my own invention. It's basically like taking these group of women out to a creek, putting some clothes on them, putting some interesting props around them, and then turning it into the tree and the fence, basically. And then having 2 hours of fairy tale adventure and feeling like time and space doesn't exist, that we're totally in that playland of make-believe. But at the end of the day, what we're actually doing is we're pretending ourselves into higher self. Does this make sense? Now, I'm using my example. But what I've been getting in every one of your sessions this week is, where is your lost artist? Where is the artist within you that you have set aside because you've been busy watching other people be artists? Where is the photographer, the painter, the musician, the singer, the playwright, the writer, the travel blogger, the house builder? Fill in the blank. Where is that in you? Because the universe is saying your purpose is 2 things. Your purpose is what you love to do and helping people. That equals purpose. And your pain. Channeling your pain into purpose. If you look at every single famous person who has been on the other side of what you would call a guruship, has channeled their entire career from a painful experience, or a lost moment, or a search for themselves. And in finding themselves, which was the most painful experience, they were able to help themselves. I was talking to Jamie today. We had a session, which is one of our TICA students in San Diego, and that we were having the same conversation. And I'm like, where is this artist within you? And she's like, well, I used to love to play music and sing. I'm like, when's the last time you did that? And I could ask you all the same. When's the last time you built something, painted something, created something? And if you are doing those things, isn't it amazing how you lose time and space, right? When you're shooting modeling pictures, you're not thinking about what time it is, unless you're not having a good time, when you're painting something and you're like, whoa, I've been painting for 4 hours, I've been singing for 4 hours, I've been writing for 4 hours. And you're getting lost in your channeled version of your heart, because one of the ways that we're actually going to heal the heart is through art. Art is going to change the planet big time, because all of us are closet artists. All of us. And that doesn't mean that it's traditional photography and this. It could be anything. And the coolest thing is, like, I had this aha moment. You know how I always tell you guys, your affirmation is, I get paid to be me. I get paid to be me. And then on the other side of that paradox is starving artist, right? I get paid to be me, and then starving artist. You're going, well, which one should I look at? Because this one feels scary, and I know my 3D job pays my bills. But look at it this way. So Ashley has purchased a mermaid tail for herself, right? And one that she can actually swim with. And I think that's pretty badass. But what I think is even more badass is there's someone who is making those tails, who is making a living making those tails, right? Because people being able to reenact Atlantean mermaids is their highest joy, and there's someone building that so that someone else can be their highest joy. Do you see? So there's someone literally making thousands of dollars making homemade mermaid tails that really work so that you can be the child that you never got to be, or the mermaid that you are. And to me, that person is getting paid to be themselves, isn't it? And that job didn't exist until the awakening. Because it wasn't until awakening that people started to remember they used to be mermaids. Right? And maybe they did, but they didn't flaunt it. There was a story on the internet, and I think I might have shared it on Facebook, and this woman, she was 65 years old, she finally retired, she did like the whole adulting thing, and she worked her time, and she raised her kids, and, you know, it was the country song. Her husband left her, and she lost all her money, and she's sitting in her trailer one night, and she says, you know, I just want to be a mermaid. 65-year-old woman. And so she gets on the internet, and she sees that there's a lot of people who want to be mermaids. It's like, you ever want to find your freak show, just go on the internet, whatever you're into. And all of a sudden, she starts meeting all of these people all around the world that are their hobby is just going and spending time pretending they're mermaids. And so she starts looking at how to get a tail for herself, because it's like she's in the darkest places of her life. She's got no one. Husband's left her. She's got no job. Her kids are all grown up. She's in this little tiny trailer. And she's like, I'm just going to get this mermaid tail. So she gets online and she orders this mermaid tail, and she starts telling the seamstress about her story. And it was a man, and he ended up writing her back, and they ended up falling in love. And now they travel all over the world, and he designs her tails for her, and she puts on shows for disabled kids. That story right there sums up where we are vibrationally. The job that you're going to be in this time next year, or the thing that you're going to be doing this time next year, doesn't exist right now. You have to create it. You have to walk into your backyard and say, I got a fence and I got a tree. What do I got? I got heart, I got imagination, and I can just, because she had nothing, right? And from nothing, except what has been my thing that I never got to do when I was a little kid? I never got to play. I never got to pretend. I never got to be a mermaid. And then all of a sudden, by her not judging herself, she goes out there, and not only that, meets her soulmate, and is now traveling the world getting paid to pretend she's a mermaid. So whatever little dreams that you have that you don't think can turn into something profitable, you need to throw that away, because that's a 3D illusion. You are here to be the creator of your reality, and you will move into that creatorship not through necessarily pleasure, but you will move through there through pressure and pain and boredom. And also loss. Loss will put you into the role of an inventor. Do you think Tesla was looking for new energy because we had it? Think about it. Invention comes from a lack of. But it's the positive aspect of lack. We don't have this. I can create it. Instead of, I don't have this. I see someone else having it. That's the third dimensional paradigm. I don't have it, and I'm watching someone else have it all day long on social media. Or, I don't have it, I don't see anyone else having it, I would like to create it. I searched Kansas City, and maybe I didn't search enough, but I searched in Kansas City for like 3 hours to see if anyone else in Kansas City was doing these goddess shoots. No one. So I thought, okay, well there's a void that I can fill. I can do that for people. I can take a brand new mom who's probably not sure about her inner beauty right now, and I can transform you into the goddess that you know who you are in your heart. And we can do it all through the magic of pretending. So creating a purpose out of lack. Instead of using lack as our wall, using lack as the creative aspect of who you are. Because this Leo energy is like primed and ready for you. And the universe is kicking you out of your house. So it's going, go out and play. And the Leo energy is there that's saying, okay, well, I got some duct tape. I got some scissors. What can I do? What void can you fill? And I've had so many sessions this week with people who are really moving into becoming. And they're like, well, you know, I'm just kind of waking up and I don't really know like what I can do to help people. And then I'm like, well, tell me your story. Well, I survived cancer last year and I got out of an abusive relationship. And I said, why are you not telling that story in a creative way? Do you know that some people might change their world if they heard that you were able to overcome those two things? Because the thing is people don't know that there's a voice out there. Just like that gal did not know there was other mermaids. You don't know, and they don't know, these people were just waking up, that you guys are here, and that you have your stories, and you have your purpose, and you have your way of expressing that, whatever that might be. It's like you take what you're good at, you mix it with service, and you take your pain, and you build it into a purpose. Because your becoming is going to be acted out. You're going to act out your becoming through purpose. So if you've always wanted to buy that treehouse or make that treehouse that it doesn't make sense to anyone, this is the time to go build it. Because something will come of it. You know, you might meet a person who says, hey, let's go do this professionally for kids overseas. You know, you never know what's going to be coming to you unless you start moving into the direction of it. And like I said in every class for the last like 4 weeks, it's going to be illogical. It's going to probably be goofy and silly. And it's going to be spontaneous. And it's going to maybe not exist before. And maybe it does exist, but you have a new twist for it. Right? You know, I'm sure when Ashley started modeling, people were like, are you going to make money at that? Are you going to do this with it? It's like everyone has an expectation of why you're doing it. And she's like, I'm just doing it because I'm working on self-love, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a cool hobby and I get to play dress up, mm-hmm. right? And eventually it will turn into a paycheck for her just because she loved doing it. It's like if we do it out of a place of expectations, you will fail. You know, if you start a mermaid business because you're trying to like meet the love of your life and travel the world, don't do it. This is where we do it just because it's fun. We do it just because you are filling a void within yourself and you're helping fulfill it in someone else where you can't give it to yourself. You're feeling not abundant in this, so you're going to help someone else with it. Which means you're going to give it away, which puts you right in alignment with law of attraction, which means that you can now have it. Does that make sense? And hopefully if you've been watching the last 3 classes, that totally made sense, so we don't have to go into that again. But does anyone have any questions yet on this? Anybody have any questions on line gate stuff, the eclipses, what's happening before we move on? No? Amba?
So this Lionsgate thing kind of making it fairly like clear who we kind of need to let go of in our lives?
Well, that's happening manually. I mean, that's kind of happening like... That's just happening. A lot of times what you'll realize in the last couple of months is you have no choice, right? You're just moving away from things and people and ideas that you never thought you would move away from. And it feels very organic. And there's other things that are happening where people are leaving you, right? And like I said in last Saturday's class, is the universe is playing tough love with you right now. And the universe is going to keep you from anything that's not your becoming. And it's going to force you into things that will help you become. Okay? So if there's somebody that is not healthy for your becoming, that your ego's holding on to, 9 times out of 10, that relationship will dissolve because it is not in your greatest interest of becoming. You've already set the intention that you will become, and now everything is going to be removed that is not in alignment with that, but it's going to be very hurtful for the ego, and that's why I'm saying fill it with play. Because if you don't fill it with play, you're going to get butthurt right now because there's a lot of things that are being taken away from you. Opportunities, money, choices. Some people are without choices right now, but sometimes people having too much choices slows them down. You know, I know some people who are financially wealthy, they're retired, they have a lot of freedom at home, they have access to the entire universe if they want it, and they're not doing anything. And the reason why is you have too much choice, and so you're not taking any action. And so really, the ebb and the flow of life, all of the magic always happens in the ebb, not in the flow. Ebb is the fire that gets you burning and moves you into purpose, and the flow carries you to the next ebb. Okay? So if you're in an ebb in any area of your life, the universe is saying, fill it with creativity, fill it with your abundance, fill it with your heart, fill it with your soul. Because if you guys have been in TICA for a year now, and most of you in the audience have, as I said, once we actually integrate this 5D energy, you will not be able to successfully maintain your financial wealth in 3D if you're a light worker. Your money will start coming, or your abundance, because we won't have money for much longer, but your abundance will be coming from your 5D energies. And what does 5D energies means? It means integrated self. So more of a love-based. If you look at the stock market right now, if you look at like solar power and medicinal medicine, plants, urban farming, off-grid living, this is where people are starting to put their money, because that right there is creative abundance and flow. It's not a contradiction from the healing of the world. It's a heart-space reflection of you taking care of your world. Because you have 2 jobs on the planet, to take care of your body and to take care of the planet. That's it. So if you're not taking care of the planet, you're not going to be able to access your heart center, which is why this vegan nation has been birthed. Because the ones who decided to go vegan first are the ones who are going to hold the frequency of unconditional love for the planet and the animals. That doesn't mean that you're not in the frequency of unconditional love if you're not vegan yet. But that's what that means, is their job as the light workers is to hold space for the animals and the planet. Okay? Your job might be to hold space for the people, and that's why you're life coaching, and that's why you're being of service, and a social worker, and a nurse, and all these things. So regardless of what type of light worker you are, you will naturally be drawn into whatever it is that is the most exciting. I mean, how many people do you know turn vegan, start a blog, get on Instagram, and all of a sudden they're getting paid to teach people how to be vegan? I get paid to be me. So where are you not being you? Because if you were really being you right now in all aspects without judgment, you'd be getting some sort of paycheck for it. So where are you in your own way? Where do you have belief systems that you need pattern clearing? Or what do you need to practice for longer so that you can get paid for it? I haven't gotten paid to be a photographer yet, but that doesn't matter because I already feel abundant in that. You know what I mean? First you have to download the feeling, and then the abundance comes. So many people first practice out of necessity or boredom or whatever, and it turns into a business. That's what an entrepreneur is. I see a void, I'm going to fill it. So we moved into this amazingly large bug-infested house. Okay? And I don't know if it's getting us ready to live in nature or what, but I mean, I go to bed with at least four spiders a night. Literally. And And so, like, we've been talking in the house, and we're like, yeah, we need to call, like, an organic pest control or find someone who can come and, you know, and we just have not been doing it. And so months after months after months, you know, the bugs are getting bigger and louder and heavier, and they screech, and it's just been one of those things, right? And I'm like, oh, we got to do that. We got to do that. One of us needs to do that, and then we forget. So today, we're sitting, just hanging out at the house, and we get a knock on the door. And this guy's like, hey, I'm pest control. And I'm like, oh, great, who called you? He's like, no, I was just down the street, and I'm doing, you know, the guy down at the end of the street's house, so I figured, you know, I'd just knock on the door. And I'm like, that's the manifestations I like, right? Because, again, but look at his job. People got bugs. I got the solution, right? And so his entire job is to get rid of the bugs. But if you look at that business model that came from a need. So he's of service in his own way. So where can you be of service? Where you can be creative, you can be of service, you can invent something, you can become something. What gift do you have inside that's abundant, that's dying to get out? What is the abundance that's sitting in your chest right now that is keeping you from your abundance? So there's an abundance inside of you that you will not let out because of self-limiting judgment or lack of resources or lack of opportunity or lack of experience. But I've taught from day one in TICA that your PhD is right here. The PhD of the universe resides in your DNA, which means that you are not here to learn. You are here to remember. And when you start to practice the pretending, you start to remember what the castles and the fairies and the dragons and the opportunities and the inventions are, because you're pulling from the quantum experience of the field, and you're in that space of receiving that data that the universe has, because you are the universe, which means that you've had every single experience known to man. You've been a painter, you've been a musician, you've been everything in the entire universe, probably several times. And it's all collected in the Google of your DNA. And if you never access it, then that is your choice, because it's literally saying, I'm there. And now the universe is saying, go find it. It's literally kicking you in the back and saying, go find the highest expression of the reality that you came to experience. Since you've been everything in the universe, what do you choose to be of service in this life, to leave your mark as a light worker, to be of service, to use your artistic, childlike nature to help the world become as you're becoming? Because this is actually, as you help the world become, you become. It's a circle, right? So as you're helping someone else become, you're filling a void, right? Like, so for me, when I started life coaching because I needed a life coach. I didn't have anyone to help me, and I thought to myself, I don't have anyone to help me, but I know enough that I can help someone else. So that's how my entire career started, was that I didn't have anyone to help me, so I just kept helping people. And when I would go home that day, I was literally talking to hear myself, because I gave myself the solution and the answer that I needed that I couldn't hear because I was in the way with my ego. But when I'm giving someone else a heart-filled experience through a life coaching session, I'm not in my ego, and there's the solution. See? So if you don't have the solution to your abundance problem right now, or your health problem, or anything like that, go help someone else solve that problem. You know, like I was telling Jamie today, she's been working out in fitness and nutrition for many, many years because she suffered from an eating disorder just like I did. It was like her entire hobby has been birthed through her pain. And I'm like, you know how many people you could go help with just that? And you know it like that. So it's something that you know, that's automatic, that's easy. You know, like Aaron and Craig's situation with Natalie, she got very, very ill. So they became basically like PhD nutritionists in their own house out of need. Not because they wanted to. They changed everybody's diet because they had to. And through that, it helped them both awaken into their higher selves and start changing everything that they were doing, because they were starting to understand energy and vibration. So everything that you're doing right now has come from a need. or a desire. And both of those should be looked at positively. So lack should be looked at positively, like right now, like, what can I create with nothing? You know, I had a gal today, and it was funny because Patricia was one of our TICA students, and we had a session today, and I ended up doing a virtual healing on her, but in the first 20 minutes, she asked me if I could bring in her brother and sister and father and mother to see if they had any messages for her, and they are all like yelling at me, and I'm like, are you a painter? Are you an artist? And she's like, no. And I'm like, I see colors. I see you doing something with art. I said, they want to communicate through you through art. And she's like, well, I've been thinking about getting some markers and some canvas. And I'm like, so how long have you been thinking about this? And she's like, a while. And so anxiety is suppressed intuition. She's had the intuition for months that she's wanted to do that. But again, we don't give that to ourselves. You know, we say, that's not practical. I don't have the money to go invest in arts and crafts right now when I haven't paid my bills in 3 months. You know, I'm not saying she did, but I'm just saying I'm getting this a lot. Like, you are your greatest investment. And if you don't start allowing your creativity to flow, right, then you're going to just watch other people do it. And you're going to assume that you don't know how to do it. Erin didn't know she was going to be a model. And now she's a model. You never knew what you could do, right? Amber plays the piano. You probably didn't know that, right? We got to see that. Because who knows what will be birthed from that experience of you just being more of yourself. So I guess this whole conversation today is, how can you be more of yourself? Who do you need to collect from childhood? What did you used to love to do? What do you love doing now that you don't let yourself do because it seems irresponsible or you don't have the time? That's when you should do it. Because doing those things will be your new form of meditation. Playing your music, drawing, painting, singing, being of service somehow, going and building something, going and creating something. This will be your rest of the year best form of meditation. Because this is what's going to get you lost in time and space. You're not going to remember that you're hungry. You're not going to remember who you were in your job yesterday when you're painting. You're just going to be in the flow, because you need to be in the flow to make it through this year. So how do I get in the flow? Which means that I need to let go of my circumstances right now, and I need to get lost in joy and creativity. I need to go help someone else. I need to fill the void of abundance out there by pulling it out of me and giving what I have naturally, that I keep just generating out of pure, just natural ability. What are your natural abilities that you could share with people? I'm not saying go out and charge for it right now, but just do it and start giving it away, and it will start turning into a job for you, because money will go away when we don't need money. Because that's law of attraction, right? You can never have what you need. And you cannot get rid of anything that you're in resistance of. So Lightworkers, you know that the money would be gone if Lightworkers weren't in such resistance of money? Because we're so like, we want money to go away, that the money's like, we can't go away, it's a paradox until you get at peace with it. So how is money going to go away? I saw my first food drug deal last week. And let me explain. So Susie and I went to a business meeting downtown in kind of a like lower income area at this really cool urban vegan cafe. And we're sitting outside with the owner, and all of a sudden this like kind of like seedy person walks from the gas station across the street over to us with this big bag of basil. Okay? And she's like looking around, and she's got this bag of basil, and she starts talking to this gal that we're with, and she's like, how much is it? She's like, 75 cents an ounce. And they're talking like it's a drug deal. And she's like, that's too much. I usually pay 25 cents for an ounce. She's like, hey, this is homegrown and blah, 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 blah. And I'm sitting there like trying not to bust out, because it's like legit like a drug deal, but it's basil. And then they make the exchange, right? She's like, go inside and get paid for it. And she's like, I got some good collard greens. I'll bring you over later. And she's like, good. You know, I'm only paying $1.25 an ounce for them. And it was just hilarious. She walked away, and I was like, that was a food drug deal. And she started laughing so hard. But what I thought was, This is how the world's going to change. Is we're going to start trading basil for, what did she give her? Kale chips. She's like, I'll give you 25 cents and some kale chips, right? And that was the deal. And I'm going, this is how the world's going to change. We're going to stop needing money. We're going to start needing each other. Think about it. Urban farming, smaller grocery stores, natural gas, clean water that's just coming from rainwater that's purified. It's like there's already people doing this because they're in pain about it. They are filling a void for it. And so the money will go away when we no longer need it to stay sedative and unproductive. We need money because we're unproductive. Okay? Hey, somebody online, can you mute? Okay. I think I can mute. Okay. Amber, can you help? I don't know who it is. Oh, wait. Oh, I think I got it. Sorry about that, guys. There was some interference going on. Okay. So does this make sense? So we're really going to have a fun time with this if we can just make sure that we understand that the coordinates that are being lined up at us is right now is that you can have total faith in the universe. But it is literally like the universe is kicking you outside and saying, you need to go from being an indoor kid to an outdoor kid. And you need to play until the street lights come on and remember how to be a child and remember how to make believe and remember how to get lost in the backyard and turn that tree into a fort, or you're never going to make it into 5D. Because 5D is instant manifestation. Do you want to keep manifesting those dark places of your mind? No. So what you think is going to start showing up like that? The Lion's Gate is basically like, we are officially in 5D, so instant manifestation. So that means whatever you're fixating it about is you're going to manifest. And a lot of people have been manifesting a lot of crappy stuff lately because it's been the darkest places of their subconscious. And the thing is what you resist, you get. What you fear, you create. Right? So a lot of these things that we've been fearful of, that we've become numb of, have come up and been like, oh, this again? But we're only doing this again so we can show the universe who we are. We're a loving light worker now that can look at this situation that's reoccurring and we can say, I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of running out of money. I'm afraid of running out of creativity. I'm afraid of running out of energy. I'm not afraid of running out of friends. Right? And like, where is your direction towards yourself? Because the universe is not going to get easier with you until you get into the flow of the new energy, which is light, it's artistic, it's fun, it's simple. Just like every solution that you ever come up with, you're like, that's simple, right? The universe is like, duh, everything is. When you complicate it, that's ego. So logic is getting thrown out. August is playing outside with just a tree and a fence because you're really limited in what you've got right now because that's when invention happens. You guys watch that show MacGyver, right? Mm-hmm. Where you can like make a bomb out of like a pencil and like a wire, right? That's who you need to be. And with every bit of information in your DNA throughout the whole universe, you are the most cleverest of all MacGyvers. So you're going to invent what the world needs now, not what the world needed 5 years ago. You're going to be the ones who in 5 years are like, yeah, I'm making mermaid tails, and I'm making like 100,000, whatever we're going to use as money then. You know, and I'm living in my total sustainable, like, tiny house somewhere on the beach. Because the thing is if you can envision it, it is in your potential to manifest it. If you could not envision it, it wouldn't be for you. But if you can see it, you are expected by the bigger part of yourselves to play that character out for yourself so you can have that experience and expand the universe. So, did I lose anyone? Everybody getting this? Any holes that you need me to fill? Anyone? So, this is going to mean big changes. Because soul migration is in forward effect. If you're not in the right place, you will be directed out of it. If you're finding yourself moving, you're probably going in the right direction right now because it's the best way for you to become. Okay? If you're changing jobs and it doesn't look like it's a better opportunity, have faith that it's disguised, that it's a negative is a shortcut. Anything that's appearing right now as a negative is a shortcut for your becoming. And if you start looking at it as this is just a shortcut, right? You know, getting thrown outside and just having a tree and a fence is a shortcut back to your soul, back to your pretending, back to your imagination, back to you being free to be anywhere and everywhere at all time. And working on the patterns. You know, we did the 7 patterns in class. For anybody who's not in the certification program, that pattern work is available online. That will help you get to the root core belief systems of where you are sabotaging yourself, limiting yourself, or rewarding yourself negatively, living those egoic old patterns of rewarding yourself through instant gratification, urges, and addiction. Clear that out so you're not manifesting even a bigger, scarier monster, and that's why you're avoiding it. Okay? You're probably having crazy dreams of repairing relationships, ending relationships. Okay? Because what's happening right now is as we clear this timeline to make space for the new world, we are clearing thousands and thousands and thousands of lifetimes of old patterning and old stuff. There will be things that you will have to take responsibility for in your world, and that means respond to. That means have the conversations in the relationships, move to the new location, change the jobs, fall into the artist within you. Get lost in your art. Art is the secret to opening the heart for the rest of this year. If you start feeling a little fidgety, a little anxious, what can I do that's artistic? I don't care if it's get the coloring book out, the meditation coloring book. I don't care if it's go down to the park and listen to some live music. You know, color, frequency, music, frequency, that will help you channel your inner artist. And your inner artist could be a tattoo artist, a belly dancer. You name it. You know, your dad says, you can't make money at a belly dancer. Yeah, actually, that's not true because TICA, we hired a belly dancer. And we had her come to our house and teach us for 6 weeks. So that ain't true. Because if you love doing it, then someone else will want to learn how to do it or would love to see you do it and they will pay you to do so. Your art is going to be part of your big divine purpose that's coming in. And if you are depriving yourself of any part of your artistic quality right now, you're going to feel the suffering and you're going to feel the abundance like you're not abundant. And what you're actually saying is I'm not being all of myself, so the universe is taking money away. I'm not being all of myself, so the universe took my health away. So my job is to be as more of myself. And you know what you have to do to be more of yourself is you have to let go of self-judgment. Because I'm sure that lady who's like just decided to become a professional mermaid, you know, she was probably like, what's my family going to think, right? Who cares? Everybody is exactly where they need to be. And if you're afraid, we talked about this in TICA so many times, especially last year, the number one reason why you don't allow yourself to excel is you're afraid to leave people behind. You're afraid. You're afraid that you're going to lose your spouse, or you're going to leave your husband, or your kids aren't going to understand you, or you're not going to have the relationship with your parents, or whatever. And the truth of it is everyone is soul contracted to be exactly where they need to be for whatever you need to be, which means that if those people that are in your life that you love are not going to be part of your new becoming, doesn't mean they won't later when they catch up. Okay? Everything can come back full circle because the whole planet is waking up. The whole planet is waking up. And when everybody wakes up, you know what they're going to need? Support. You are the support system of the newly awakening. And this Lionsgate is going to be such a fast awakening. You know, you think that it's obvious that the world's waking up now with the organic food and this and that. Wait until 2 months from now. You're going to be shocked. You're going to be shocked at people that are coming out of the woodwork to ask you to help them understand what's happening to them. Because at least when we did it, it was slower. And when they're doing it, it's fast, it's fast, it's fast. What took us 3 months is going to take them 3 days to integrate. So they're going to be very confused, and their ego is going to be freaking out, and they're going to be looking to your story and your story and your story. You have to tell your story. Your story can save lives, because when the energy is integrating this fast and the ego gets super confused, the first thought ego will have is suicide. Okay? So there will be a lot of suicide. There will be a lot of transitions. All of a sudden, you realize that you're really good at holding space for people who cross over. Transition specialist. Guess what? You have a new purpose. How many times are you just birthed with having to do something that turned into your purpose? Because higher self is literally like pushing you into bad experiences so you can remember where your purpose is. And they're not bad. They're just pressure. And what is pressure? It gets your attention. Your rut does not get your attention. Your comfort zone does not get your attention. It gets you sedative. It gets you lost and frozen and no motivation. So your inner child is saying to you, I remember who we are. Go watch Peter Pan this weekend. Because basically you're a lost boy, right? And your job is to go back to that place where you can create anything you want. And I would recommend the Robin Williams one because I love that one. And that is how we need to be. You know, and yes, there is going to be the Captain Hooks showing up in your life, but that's the whole part of the fun. You've got to return to that place because that's what your life for the rest of your lifetime will look. And if you're starting to feel like you kind of got on this journey later in life, guess what? Your life is going to actually be so youthful if you start flowing in this energy. Because in a state of meditation, the body doesn't age. In a state of theta wave, your brain and body do not age. They do not agree with the aging process. They're not in the belief system that you're aging. So when you're in theta, you are not aging your body. When you are in beta and alpha, you are aging your body because you're judging, and you're tapped into collective belief that you can age. So have you seen people who have like gone and got happy and they look 10 years younger? True story. Go get happy. Go turn into a irresponsible, Amber and I call it the responsible 5D adult versus the irresponsible 3D adult, right? Which one would you rather be? The 5D irresponsible, the responsible adult is way more fun because we're being responsible to our needs, our desires, our abundance, our gifts. We're giving our gifts away. We're being of service as much as we can. And you know what? When you're being of service, you're not in alignment with feeling bad about what you don't have. You're not even thinking about what you don't have when you're being of service. So that is the ultimate state of abundance. And so if you do that enough, the universe is going to start giving you what you've been holding back from the world. So you've got to start giving it away, practicing. Please watch last Saturday's class because I don't need to rehash the principle of, the character and the script and everything, because what you're trying to do is say, I don't want to play this character anymore, universe. I want to play the character that I was born to play. Stop giving me these roles. I want to play this role. So you got to hold your ground and play that role even though everybody else is playing off your old script for a while until the universe can change the scenes and the props and the casting for you and get your life into this place where you are now you. And if this class resonates, one of the research projects you could do this week is go research 10 people who are doing exactly this. Someone who has just decided that they can't do corporate America again, they pull out their 401k, they build a tiny home, and now they're building tiny homes for other people, right? Or someone who says, you know what, my highest joy is nature. I love exploring nature. So they quit their 9-to-5 job, they pull out money or they take a loan out, they go live in the wilderness, they learn the wilderness, and then they become wilderness guides. They get paid for it. Right? But it started from your highest joy or your highest need. So your highest need is actually the opposite side of your highest joy, just like anxiety and excitement, and they are the exact same frequency, so it doesn't matter which one you choose as long as you're looking at it positively. My need and my joy, same energy. One's negative, one's positive. I'm going to look at the negative one, positive, I win. Now I can build this. Don't say, oh, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to go have an awesome, travel job this this fast. You got to kind of work into it. You got to believe it yourself that you're good at it. You got to become it. Because people follow people who are confident, don't they? You would not go like up a mountain with someone who's like, yeah, I don't really know where we're going, but I think it's this way. And you'd be like, oh, I'm not going with you. But if someone was like, yeah, I've like spent 18 hours on this mountain and I've survived the cold and I know the back doors and I know this way, you'd be like, I feel totally safe going with you. So it's your confidence that makes you a leader, not your education. It is the confidence that you yourself have done it and can do it and feel good at it and can create it, and then other people will follow you doing it. This is where we need to be. So right now, you need to get your feet and hands wet as an artist again. And whatever your medium is, whether it be nature or color or music or people or animals or food or medicine, it doesn't matter. How many parents do you know who are about to lose their children who discovered medicinal medicines, plant-based medicinal medicines, right, who have saved their children's lives and now have a career in it? So, and they're going around talking to people all over the world about this. So everything that you're going to be doing in the future is going to come from Mother Earth, not corporate America. Because you're light workers. You're here to break down that system, not get paid by it. And you can keep getting paid by it while you're discovering your creativity, and then let your creativity and your purpose and your lack become your job, your career. That's the definition of success, is happiness. It's not money. It's happiness. It's I am proud of me. I am confident in who I am and what I can do. I know I can be of service. And I know whatever I don't have, I can create. That is the true definition of happiness for me. I don't know what your definition is, but that's what feels good to me, is knowing that my wealth comes from my creativity, not the money in my bank. And it's funny because I feel the most wealthiest when I have the least. Because I'm rich in ideas and solutions and helping other people. Isn't that a paradox? So, is this resonating? Blah, 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 I know. Does anybody have anything that they want to discuss about this? Anything that they've kind of discovered about this? Anybody expressing this, doing this? Frank?
When I was in New Brunswick, I remember saying to you, I've forgotten how to play.
You forgot how to play.
And I wanted help to remember it. And in a sense, I created my life in New Brunswick here, still keeping people away.
Watching other people play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the past 24 to 48 hours, I have been, whiteboarding and journaling.
Journaling.
And what do I want to do? What do I really want to do? Forget everything.
Forget everything.
I'm doing now. What do I want to do?
Right.
So focused on that.
Good. Good. Perfect timing with the Lionsgate. It will help inspire that within you, because it's almost like Lionsgate's going to help turn the light on. We've been in the shadows for a long time. It's kind of like, what am I supposed to do? What's my purpose? Your purpose is first to find your play, to find your artist, to find your inner child, to find that rule breaker within you that wants. What are children the best at? Children are the best at getting what they want regardless of the rules, right? Why can't that be you? Why can't you figure out how to get what you want regardless of what the rules are? That's what I mean about creativity. It's like, okay, everyone is saying no to me. My bank account says 0. There's no one over here that's going to help me. It's like the positive side of manipulation, right? How can I, through a path of expression and integrity, not lower, yucky stuff, but from a place of integrity, manipulate myself into the situation that I want to be in positively? You know, like I love this advice Susie gave her daughter one time. Susie said, you know, because her daughter was like out looking for a job and she came home and she was all sad and she's like, they said no. And Susie said, and? You know, if you know Susie, she's tough. And she's like, yeah, they said no. And Susie said, and you took no for an answer? Right? And she was like, well, yeah, they kind of said no. And Susie said, well, let me tell you my story of when I worked for the airline. You know, I really wanted to work at this airline. And something maybe she'll have to tell it correctly, but they weren't hiring. And so I showed up there every week, and they would keep telling me no, but then I started making friends with everyone there. And they kept telling me no, but I just kept making friends with them there. And they kept telling no. She's like, I became such a annoyance with a really good work ethic that they hired me. And then like she moved all the way to the top because she didn't take no for an answer. See, the thing is we're all afraid of being embarrassed. Mm-hmm. How come we don't do art? Because we're not going to be good at it. Who needs to say your art? You're doing it because you're discovering your child, not so that you can be Van Gogh. Right? I have seen some pieces that have sold for $4 million that look like Luke spit on the wall. Okay? So art is a perspective. And there's someone who's like, oh, masterpiece, $4 million. And I'm like, really? That's like my son's boogers, right? Like, seriously? But it's all perspective of what people buy. I mean, people, like, I bet you, Amber, if you called and said, hey, Mom, guess what? There's people making $1 million making mermaid tails. She'd be like, what?
Yep.
What kind of world is this we're living in, right? A magical one? So I would say put your energy towards magic, because that is what the world's lacking. So if the world is moving to a place where we're being forced into lovingly to open our heart, what is the places inside of you that feel like love? And I guarantee you it's fantasy, it's magic, it's passion. It's all of those things that you're not allowed to feel when you have a job. So it's getting back to that place and not taking no for an answer and being that persuasive child. Because it's funny, like Madison said to me the other day, instead of directly asking me, like, hey, I would really like this new doll. She knows how to work her mama, right? So she comes up to me and she's like, you remember last time I was here and I was having such a good day? I was like, yeah, and she goes, yeah, I remember when I got that doll and I was like so happy? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, yeah, that was a happy day. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, I'd really like to get another one of those sometime. But do you see how she totally like set the groundwork for like happiness? Like, and I'm like, okay, well, if you earn the money, right, then we'll buy the doll. Instead of her just saying, hey, can I get a doll? It was like, they still know how to do it. And it was so adorable because I totally knew what she was doing, just like the universe totally knows what you're doing. But the universe is like, that's adorable, I'm going to give it to you, right? So it's like, where is this helping? Because it's not this, I've got to be this grown-up. Nobody knows how to be a grown-up. I mean, do you know a grown-up? If you know a grown-up, guaranteed they're curmudgeon, right? They've lost the ability to play, you know. It's like, they're very, like, narrow-minded, very judgmental, very black and white. Like, that's to me what an adult is. Everybody else is just a child in a bigger body, you know? And the people who are actually making the most money on the planet, on the light side of the world, are doing it from play. Look at the millionaires on the light side. I'm not talking about the shadow side, but the light side. None of them are making money from Monsanto. They're making money from urban farming and raising animals and playing with kids and building homes and cleaning up the planet and making art, making fashion. Like, this is what the world needs. They don't need more, you know, they don't need more people to tell us what to do. They need more people that are playing. They need artists. We need musicians. We need our culture back. We need to bring childhood back, because that's going to be the way that we feel safe to open up our heart. Not going to feel safe to open up our heart working our 3D job, paying our taxes, and complaining about it. That keeps the heart shut down, because what's happening is inside of you is you're running out of your abundance, because your abundance is actually the expression of you. So if you can fully express yourself, the universe will give you your abundance. So that's the only trick. You want money? Be more expressive of yourself. You want health? Become the healer that you've trapped inside. If you're sick, you're a healer. You're resisting your energy flowing to heal others. That's why you're sick. So the universe is telling you. If you're broke, you're not on the stage of your life. You need to become on the stage of your life. Okay? Does this help? Resonate? Make sense? All right. Anything anybody want to add, or?
Everybody loves tiny houses.
Everybody loves tiny houses. They're adorable. And Amber's become quite an expert on them. So,
Yeah.
yes, she was telling me about the composting toilet the other day. It was very fascinating.
Hey, these are the things you got to know about if you're talking tiny.
We're probably going to end up buying some land. Everybody's going to get a tiny house and just live together happily ever after.
Yeah.
Probably in some tree houses too, because we love the tree houses.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we got to have the lake for the mermaids to swim.
I agree. Yep.
And then we gotta have someone to tell the stories about it, because no one's gonna believe it, right? And we gotta have the music. Because I was telling Amber the other day, and then we were driving, oh my god, if we could ever record our conversations, it would be hilarious.
Oh, we'd be in trouble.
And I don't know if you guys have ever seen Star Wars, but I love that scene where the Ewoks are like just having their little celebration, and they've got the music, and the mamas are holding the babies, and and I'm like, that's what I want, you know, like the celebration, and like everyone living in peace and harmony, and everyone taking care of each other, and just that community feeling where, you know, you're safe to know your neighbor, you know, you're not in judgment of it. It's like, ooh, what's she doing out there, you know? And like, just this peaceful community. Like, we want to be like the Ewoks. All right. Okay, so hopefully you guys got something from this. Hopefully this has inspired you somewhere. The artist inside of you will survive this evolution. The grown-up inside of you will not. So if you want to say goodbye to your grown-up now, you can. And that doesn't mean like run away from your responsibilities. That means that, you know, it's just like a kid. You got to go to school, right? And then you can't wait to get home. What was the best thing about school? Recess and lunch, okay? So if you're at work, have a recess and lunch. And then when you get home, have home be your outside time. And take good enough care of your body during your work day so that when you get home, you can run outside and play. Do something. And I will tell you that your personal discipline, you're not practiced in this. Your body does not know how to play. You're going to have to reteach your body how to play. You're going to have to reteach your creative side to come out. It's not going to be comfortable, but don't let the excuses of the ego step in. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. That's a sabotage, so you will not become. Get creative. You don't have the money. Use what you have. You know, I mean, I didn't go out and buy an expensive camera, and who knows when I actually will be able to do those things, what my pictures will look like. But right now I'm doing everything on my phone. Because I'm not going to go out and buy something. I just wanted to show people how beautiful they were. So, again, use what you have from where you are. Use the analogy of your backyard. That's all I've got. I've got the tree and the fence. What can I make with it? Okay? And start becoming the chef of your own creative aspects. It's like the best chefs in the world can walk into your kitchen and use what you have and make the most amazing meal. Become the chef and the architect of your own reality and start playing this month, because August is going to be very challenging, and it's going to have you really quantumly focus on your pretending aspects, your creative aspects, and your artistic aspects, not what is. What is does not matter. It's your state of being. It's the Peter Pan inside of you, not the world. It's finding that person within you that is unlimited. And that's why the universe has taken so much of our abundance away right now, because it's taking our ego security blankets away. And it's forcing us to become creative children so that we can make a living and be abundance in 5D the way we were born to do it. Okay? All right. Thank you guys for coming.